waiting for a weak leader to suddenly become strong is a career death sentence. And handing over your future to someone who's threatened by your potential, that is not loyalty, that is self-sabotage. Welcome to Totally Unacceptable. I'm Ed Clementi. This is the show where we call out what most people stay quiet about: the dysfunction, the fake leadership, the career-killing nonsense that too many professionals are told to just accept. But it's not just about them, it's about us too. The way we shrink, stay silent, or play along when we know better. I'm not here to play nice, I am here to tell the truth and to help you lead, grow, and win on your terms. Because letting weak leadership or our own fear hold us back, that is not just frustrating, that is totally unacceptable. So let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to you about something that unfortunately all too many of us have to deal with every single day. You find yourself in a situation where your boss, the person who is put in a position to lead you, to guide you, to help you grow into your potential, just is not a leader and never will be. You go in every day and you hope and you pray that they are doing the things that they need to do on their own to grow into leadership. Because let's just face it, the unfortunate truth is that today, most people who were promoted into leadership positions were not trained on how to lead people. If you are promoting someone that has never been in a position to think about what it's like to motivate another individual, to understand what makes another individual tick, to listen to what other individuals have to say, to understand what it means for that individual or those individuals to feel appreciated, to understand their strengths and understand their weaknesses and help them fill those gaps, to communicate vision in a clear and simple way so that those people that you're leading understand it and they understand the goalpost. If you're an individual who hasn't learned or experienced how to do any of that, the unfortunate truth is, the likelihood is, once you're promoted into leadership, you will fail at the thing called leadership. Now, if you are someone who find yourself in the position of being led by someone like this, the first thing you have to do is identify that this is in fact the case. At first you feel it, and as the days, weeks, months, and years go by, it becomes more and more solidified when you realize that you don't have a voice, that you don't understand the vision, that you're not growing, your ideas are shunned away, you are told just continue doing what you're doing. If you're coming in every day and you're working really hard, but the promotions aren't coming, the compensation adjustments aren't coming, or you're being micromanaged. There is no growth in that. When you start to realize that your boss is nothing more than a figurehead, it's time for you to take responsibility. It's not okay to just sit there and accept that this is the way it is. Now, this is really hard. This is a hard problem to solve, because what are you to do? Are you to expose this person? The answer to that is no. You can't have a conversation, an open and honest conversation with this person, because the insecurities will come to play and that will not end well. So that answer is no. So the first step here is to realize and confirm for yourself that the situation is, I work for someone that is not a leader. And when that is the case, it will become almost impossible for you to realize your potential if you stay in that situation, because those people are riddled with insecurities and they know it. And it's worse than that. Even with all those insecurities, there's lots of people who are promoted into leadership positions and they have insecurities, but they work like hell to solve for those insecurities. Those people you can work for. We all have that, but they're trying to solve for it so they can become better communicators, so that they can become better simplifiers, so they can become better influencers. Those people are doing the work necessary to build themselves into the leader that they need to be for themselves, for their company, and for the people in their charge. Those people you can work for. The worst is people who have the insecurities and they fail to even realize it, or people who have the insecurities and they know it and do nothing about it, and they just choose to continue moving forward, faking it with all the knowledge that they're not just impacting themselves, they're impacting their company that trusted them, but they're also negatively impacting the lives of the people that are in their charge. But when you start to realize that your situation is not good, your situation is one where you are positioned under a person of authority who has no leadership ability and has decided not to work on it. That is time for you to say, this is my situation, time to rectify, time to solve for it. Because if you decide to not rectify, to not solve for this problem, well, then you can't complain about your boss and you can't complain about your situation because you've accepted it. Now, I believe just as unacceptable it is to have a leader that behaves in that way, that chooses not to acknowledge the responsibility, that chooses not to solve for any gaps they have in their leadership ability, it is as unacceptable for any of us or any of you to be complacent about it, to just sit there and accept that most bosses aren't leaders, and I hope it will get better. Let me just say something to you. Waiting for a weak leader to suddenly become strong is a career death sentence. And handing over your future to someone who's threatened by your potential, that is not loyalty, that is self-sabotage. So it begs the question, how do we handle this? Number one, you continue to show up with solutions, not noise. You just continue to come and show up with solutions. You continue to do your thing to the best of your ability. Unfortunately, when you're in this situation, you can't just be excellent. You got to be super excellent. You got to cover all your bases, and you all have it in you. And when you're in this situation, you unfortunately do not have the luxury of working for a leader who's going to help you out, who's going to identify your gaps and help you work through those gaps, who's going to put you in situations that's good for you and helpful for you. When you do not have someone looking out for you like that, which by the way is what a leader should be doing. I am so sick and tired of hearing leaders say to me, hey, I didn't have anybody helping me this way, and that's what made me such a good performer. That's what made me such a good executive. I learned it on my own. I didn't have anybody holding my hand or coddling me, right? So they need to figure it out for themselves. I am not here to help them. I'm here to give them feedback. You're not doing well, get better. No, that's not how I see it. Leaders coach. They celebrate their team's wins. They celebrate their team's strengths, and they're honest about their weaknesses, and they give them guidance on how to solve for that because there's potential that they've seen, and they help coach them. I've always seen leadership as coaching. I've coached many teams in my life, and the job of a coach, you say, hey, I noticed that there's some areas of improvement. Here's how I got past that. Here's a couple of drills you can do. Here's a course you can take. But there's some gaps we need to solve for. But I see potential in you. And on all these other areas, you're doing phenomenal. And I'm here if you have any questions. That's what a coach does. That's what a leader should be doing. I'm so sick and tired of this so-called tough love. And this is not me saying that we should be coddling. That's not coddling. It's coaching. We all need coaching, all of us. And we look to the people that are more experienced. We look to the people that have gone through things and learned those things and figured out how to overcome certain things to help us, to guide us. That's the responsibility of leadership. It's a cop-out. It's weak, and it's inexcusable or unacceptable in this podcast case to shirk that responsibility. I have no tolerance at all for it. So how do we do it? So number one, keep showing up and doing your thing. Keep finding solutions. Keep offering solutions, even if it's pushed down. Even if your boss is saying, I hear you, thank you, but we're not going to go this way. I hear you, thank you, but we're going to continue to do it the way we've always done it. That's fine. How many of you out there have stopped doing something that was true to your core because of the influence your very poor leader made or had on you. Never stop being who you are, so you can never get the feedback that is contra to who you were. So what else? What's the next thing? Build trust laterally and upward in the most professional way possible. Continue to network laterally. Continue to have lunches and coffees. And when you have a meeting with someone in another department, build on that relationship. Network, build trust, throw ideas, offer help, and upward too. You may find yourself in a meeting where somebody who's up the chain in a different department hears you answer a question and says, I really like that idea. And then you send them a little mail or a little note and you build a relationship there. I really appreciated your feedback in that meeting. Thank you. Oh, no problem. Would love to pick your brain on something. Maybe we could get a coffee. That would be wonderful. And you build this network upwards and lateral in a professional way, not to go above anyone's head, not to disparage anyone, but you stay professional. But what you do is you show up every day as yourself. You continue to provide solutions. You continue to add value. You build your network laterally and upward, and it makes you feel better going in every day, even with a bad boss. Because I shouldn't say a bad boss. I should say a boss who's not a leader. A lot of these people aren't bad people. They're just not leaders. Now, the bad part is they chose not to learn how to be a leader, which I fully believe you can and should do. But it makes you feel better that while you're in this situation, you have a plan. You are working on it. You have a plan. What else can we do? Make sure you're speaking up where it matters. If you're in a meeting and you have an idea, say it. Speak up. I say this all the time. I made a post about it. I made a video about it. Take the stage. If you're doing the work and you have an idea, say it. You do this enough times in the right rooms, you're going to grab the right person's attention. Somebody's going to say, who was that? When you speak up in the rooms and the places that matter, someone's going to notice eventually. It might not be the first time, might not be the 10th time, but in the 40th time, the 50th time, you just keep doing this. Speak up. Let your voice be heard. It's coming from a good place. Hard work and experience and thought and solution oriented with a genuine intention, add value. When you're doing that, you have a chance. We've all heard you miss 100% of the chances or the shots you don't take. You got to take your shot in the rooms that matter. What else? I cannot underscore this enough. Invest in yourself. You can come in every day and work your butt off. We have been schooled to think that just go in every day and work hard and you will be acknowledged. You will be promoted. You will be paid. Yes, work hard. You will build a reputation of someone who works hard. You will build a reputation of someone who's reliable, and you will get those typical average ticks. The people that get further and further ahead are the people who are willing to differentiate themselves, are willing to multiply their value. Everyone else just gets the average tick-ups. But you want to really differentiate yourself, you have to be not just working hard at your job, at your desk, for your boss, for your company. You have to be working hard on yourself. You have to be investing in yourself all the time. Your own voice, your own visibility, your own ability to communicate, to influence, to simplify, to speak in a way where others want to listen. You have to invest in your ability to lead. Why? Because when you invest in your ability to lead, you're doing something super powerful. You are investing in your ability to multiply your value. You're increasing your value and your ability to multiply your value. What do you think happens when people of power, people of seniority, realize that you have an ability to multiply your value, multiply your production? Well, the simple answer is you multiply your paycheck. So show up, solve problems, build trust laterally and upward, speak up where it matters, invest in yourself, and the opportunities will come. And then when the opportunity comes, you go and get away from the person who is keeping you down. That is the way to do it. Let me tell you a quick parable that I've told many times during my career that people seem to love. It's the story of the elephant and the rope. One day there was a traveler walking through an elephant camp. And she was just looking at these big, beautiful, majestic, strong animals. And she noticed something. She noticed these huge elephants with a little rope around their right front leg. That rope was tied to a stake in the ground. And she didn't understand what that was for, because clearly that rope was not holding these elephants to the stake. There's no way. They clearly could just rip them right out of the ground. So she called over to the keeper and said, I have a question. And of course, the keeper said, well, what can I answer for you? And she says, I'm curious about what that rope does. There's ropes tied to all their legs, and they're tied to stakes in the ground. They're not keeping them there, are they? And he says, yeah, they are. And she says, but they're not strong enough to break through. She says, of course they are. But when they're baby elephants, we tie that rope around their leg. And when they're baby elephants, they try to get loose. They tug and pull and they try, and they fail every time, because at that point, they are not strong enough. They start to realize we should just stop tugging and pulling and trying to get away, because we can't. And that stays with them all the way through adulthood. And now, of course, they can break through anytime they want, but they just don't try. I think this is such an amazing story, because it goes even beyond being held back by someone trying to get your voice heard, trying to make an impact, and constantly being pushed down until you just say, I'm going to stop trying, because it never has any impact. It goes far beyond that specific example of a bad leader. I think just more broadly in our lives, we have many times been schooled for one reason or another to think we can't do something. And once our minds accept that we can't do something, we stop trying. And it just strikes me how many of us stop trying for things that we want or we once wanted. How many of us just stop trying because we don't think it's possible, because someone told us it's not possible, or because we tried before and we failed, or because we've seen others try and fail? I think we just got to remember the elephant in the rope. Just because you tried before and it didn't work doesn't mean that it won't work if you tried today. If you continue to invest in yourself, you continue to get better than you were yesterday. That's the name of the game. Now, if you don't invest in yourself and you don't continue to grow, then you're likely to receive the same results. But every single day, if you get up with the intention to be even just a little bit better than you were yesterday, doesn't matter what it is. You read a few chapters in a book, you go for a run, you take a course, you practice speaking. There's so many different ways we can work on ourselves to be better, to have greater impact, to be able to multiply our impact. Always remember this multiplier thing. I personally believe the greatest opportunity we will all have to make a meaningful, lasting impact is leadership. So if you find yourself in a situation where your boss is just not a leader, remember this: as unacceptable as it is for that leader not to take on the importance of that responsibility and just get better, it is even more unacceptable for any of us to know we are in that situation and not solve for that situation. It is in your control to solve for that situation. I gave you an outline for how I would go about it. If this hit you, good. Now do something about it. Because knowing, that's not enough. Acting is where everything changes. So take the insight, the fire, the frustration, whatever sparked something today, and move. Speak, decide, build. Your future is not waiting for permission, and neither should you. I'm Clementi. This is totally unacceptable, and we are just getting started.